Hello, you lovely lot, and welcome to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. I am your host, as always, Josh Ad, the lone podcaster. And I'm joined by three wonderful guests today for the Power of the Doctor special. We are here to chat all things Centenary about what the fuck just happened last night. So without further ado, allow me to introduce my guests. Tag, you're it and also dead now. It's the 13th Domter. It's Dominique Gagnon.
Hey,
how are you?
Doing really good, and you?
Yes. Well, we're all fucked, aren't we? So this is just everything's insane at the moment. She is the wheeler, and you will obey her. It's Catherine Wheeler, our resident Dewan Stan. How are you, Catherine?
Doing brilliantly and feeling very fed by last night's antics.
We're all eating well. We're all well
so
fed, full tummies all round.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of full tummies, I'm joking. I'm not keeping that in.
Please, no, please keep it in. I'm asking you.
I'm not
please.
keeping it in.
I consent to the joke. Keep it in, please.
Okay.
Good.
We have the Valeyard of Boris Johnson with us.
Yes, it's me.
It's the one and only, returning to the show, Jude Lavous. How are you, Boris?
Well, yes, I'm doing great. I'm absolutely, I'm over the moon. I'm dressed as Colin and
good.
John and Boris Johnson at the same time. I'm taking off the wig.
Take the wig off.
No.
I'm gonna have to take these handlebars off because I'm worried about tinfoil noises. They may make a return in the future.
Josh is
but
here.
They will probably be burned.
I thought it was Ashad. Sorry.
Josh Ad is gone. Josh Ad's been TCE'd, I'm afraid.
Sorry.
So that's your fault. So we're here to talk about all things the Power of the Doctor. It was a bit of a mad night for all Doctor Who fans everywhere. Firstly, I just want some initial reaction thoughts from the three of you. So Jude, we'll go to you first. What are your initial feelings? What is your vibe following the Power of the Doctor?
I think it was the most entertained I've been by a Chibnall episode ever, and it's my favourite. And I cried all the tears out of my head. So I left the episode with a headache, which I've never had from Doctor Who before. I cried so much that I lost all the moisture from my body. I thought, you know what, this can't get any more emotional. And then it did. And then Ian popped up, and then Colin popped up, and all the people I love popped up. And I just thought, all right, guess I'm going to cry a bit more then. And then I got rinsed on TikTok for crying at Doctor Who. So it's come full circle.
I saw that you got rinsed on TikTok.
It's fine.
It's
the
beautiful
comments,
and fitting.
The comments help the engagement at the end of the day.
And also, I should probably say, even though Jude's just spoiled half of it, spoilers for the Power of the Doctor. I'm a bit late there. But yeah, spoiler alert. Catherine, the beard's gone.
It's off, yeah.
Oh my
what the
God.
Fuck?
She was Catherine all along, not Rasputin. Oh God.
Shocker.
What are your initial thoughts? What are your feelings? How are you?
Oh, now this wow. On the night last night, I cried twice. Once when Strictly was ending, and so the other time 2 hours after the episode had ended, and I had nothing whatsoever during the episode. So it's been interesting. I think I walked away.
That is interesting.
I walked away mortified.
Wow!
I saw David Tennant pop up on my screen, and I went, no, they can't do this to me. They can't. And I had my thumbs ready. I had my thumbs so poised. And then I sort of laid back. I lied down. I thought about it. I thought, hang on a minute. I just got everything I ever wanted ever out of a Doctor Who episode. Then I went back and I watched it again. Actually, oh, you know what? I'm into this. I like this. So it's been a journey over the last 24 hours.
It's been an emotional roller coaster.
It has really, yeah. It's been giving back even after it's ended.
Dom, how are you? Are you okay? Do you need help?
You know what? I was going into this thinking my life was going to be over afterwards, and in the end, like the episode ended, and I was at peace with what I'd seen. I was really satisfied by that episode in a way I never thought would be possible. Like I was losing my doctor last night, so I was just like ready to cry for hours, and in the end, I didn't really cry. I cried before, but not after.
Wow.
It's a weird one.
Wow. I mean, I personally was a blubbering mess and I had a heart attack constantly for 2 hours. But I'm fine now, I think. But let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's break it down. So let's start at the beginning. And the pre-title sequence, I want to breeze through this because it's a lot of setup. But it was fun, wasn't it? It was a fun little train heist.
Mid.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mid?
It was mid.
Dude.
It's so boring.
Was it?
I just, I was like, I just sort of went into it and I was like, oh, it's Mark 7. And then I didn't care. That was the whole thing. Because I watched it and when the Cybermen were like going for the box, I thought, okay, the Master's going to be in there. And it was just some kid.
That's what I thought.
And it wasn't the Master. And I don't know. Next time I watch it again, I'm just skipping the train bit. I don't care. Sorry.
Did anybody else think it was the Timeless Child?
Yes,
I lost my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, that's the Doctor.
It was the road that did it as well.
It was the road.
I thought that's far from me.
And what was it called? Like a calipachich? What was the thing called? The alien? I can't remember what it was
called.
called.
on the quiz because I don't know what it's called.
A calipachich.
It's a calipachich.
I've actually written it down. Kat, do you know? Because I mean, I want to impress you all. It's a quarunx.
Yeah.
I was close.
Which I checked the subtitles to see if there was a spelling. I believe it's Quaurunx.
Very French.
So very French. Quarunx.
Sounds like a nice cheese.
Yeah. The quarunx was a bit of nonsense, wasn't it? Basically an alien MacGuffin just to be there.
Wasn't it just a big portable charger? Is that what it was?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It was a power bank.
Yeah.
For a big old planet. But like I said, I think it was quite fun. And some people pointed out the symmetry of 13 jumping down onto a train.
What? Oh
yeah.
my god. I've never.
That's the woman who fell to a train.
That's what they should have called it.
Yeah, they should have called it The Woman Who Fell to Trains. 100%. Cybermasters. Smash or pass?
I love them.
Smash. Instant smash.
Smash.
I feel like I'm obligated to say smash at this point.
It's definitely a smash.
I'm such a slut for Cybermen. I'll just say that right now. We all know it. I just love them, and they're all great, and they look lovely.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I just love the design. The design's so good. Yeah. It's they nailed it, and they were threatening boys. They were threatening chunky metal boys this time around, and they were stomping all around that train. Let's move on from the train. I'm done with the train chat now. But yeah, it was a solid intro, but it led to the exit of a wonderful companion, in my opinion, maybe not to some other people, judging by Jude's face. It led to the exit. Yeah, it led to the exit of Dan Lewis, everyone's favourite Scouser. What did we all think of Dan's exit? Dom, we'll go to you first.
I thought it was interesting in a way that it's such a normal reaction for a companion to just be like, what the fuck, I almost died. I'm just gonna go back home now and never come back here. So that, but I mean, part of me is like, why does he exist? But he was cool. I love him, so I don't mind. It was really interesting.
Point in being alive.
What's the point of being alive? Yeah, I get that. I mean, he was there for the laughs, for the bants.
And it was more like Yaz's companion than the doctor's, to me anyway.
Yeah. And
it shows in the way he leaves, like the exit, and how like he says goodbye. So that was interesting, and it kind of reflects on Yaz's exit in some ways, but we'll go to that later.
Yeah, I could see that. I can see the parallels. How's everyone else feeling about Dan?
I love Dan. I love Dan from the bottom of my heart, and how anyone else can not love Dan is beyond me. But I thought the leaving the man homeless with no money for food was quite interesting.
Yeah. Bit of an iffy one, that. Just I'll keep on my mum's sofa.
Dan goes out to
Dan goes
out to no house.
Fully just buy Amy and Rory a house, and she's just left Dan with no home.
Just slam the door on him, poor man.
So she basically, when she picked him up, he was living almost in squalor and had a home and was living off food banks. He's now in the exact same scenario, but also homeless.
He's literally like, well, I've got no food, but at least I got a house. And then the doctor's like, no. No, you haven't, mate.
I'm assuming that was meant to be a Scouse accent.
Yeah, sorry, I can't do it.
That's all right. Lads, I've got no house.
I've got no fucking house, mate. The big dog took me house.
Apologies to the entire city of Liverpool.
No.
But I liked the fact that he was a character who had served his purpose, but they didn't feel like they had to just keep him there for the rest of the special. I liked that they sort of, that Chibnall sort of recognised Dan doesn't really have anything more to offer here. Let's get him out so that we can put more focus on Yaz and 13. I liked that. I think it's gutsy to get rid of a companion in the first 15 minutes of an episode. It's very classic Who. Just, I'm done now, bye, and just out of there. But
killed him.
They should have killed him.
No.
Yeah, fully. And can I justify this, right? So
no.
All right, I won't then.
No, justify away.
So Dan has nothing left, basically.
He's got a girlfriend.
Okay. He may as well be dead. Here's what I'm saying, right? Is he served his purpose. He got Yaz to express her feelings. He confronted the doctor about her feelings. That's great. And he should have just on the train died. And the reason I say this is because he was in the Crimean War. He was in a blooming Weeping Angel mess. He met the Daleks. He met the Cybermen. He was almost killed on a Sontaran spaceship. And then when he gets a little hole in his mask, he's like, I almost died. It's like, you've almost died about 40 times, mate. Now you want to leave? I think he should have died. And then Graham's like, oh, Dan's dead. I want to meet the old companions to make sure they're not dead. You know? Just kill him off. He served his purpose. Bosh.
An act of mercy, really.
It's harsh. I mean, at least the doctor, though, didn't leave him with a house, left him with his life.
Yeah.
Unlike Jude would have done.
I just think have him on the train, and he is the one left behind, and he crashes the train and kills all the Cybermen.
I mean, it would give. I mean, we'll get on to Yaz's exit later, but it would give a bit more of a reason for Yaz to leave.
Yeah.
If if basically her companion had died, and then Yaz can sort of get a bit of perspective of why the Doctor is the way she is.
And Jericho and Grace. She should have been like, so many people have died around you. I'm going to leave. This isn't healthy for me. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Get out of that toxic situation, girl.
Like Martha, the queen that we know.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's move on from Dan very swiftly, as the episode did.
Bye, Dan.
Bye, Dan. Bye. See ya. We're then treated to the lovely return of two 80s companions. And you may have noticed that I've sort of got, I did say on Twitter that this was almost like a union meeting, because we've got the union of Yasmin stands with Dom, we've got the Master stands covered with Catherine, and then we've got the 80s Who stands covered with Jude. So Jude, you take the floor first of all. Ace and Tegan are back.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Are you happy with the way that they were handled? Are you happy with the way they were characterized? And do you have any issues?
You know what? Before this episode came out, I tweeted quite a few times, I really want them to focus on Ace's like rocky relationship with Seven, and Tegan not having a good time in her last story and leaving. And I'm so glad they focused on it and they made reference to it, because it could have been just, oh, Ace and Tegan are back, way old characters, lol. But they went in so deep with Aunt Vanessa and the Adric thing, which legit made me cry. Like I heard the name Adric and like actual tears. Who cries over Adric? I do, apparently. It broke me. And they were done so well. I will be honest, and this opinion will get me cancelled. I'm not a bigger fan of Ace as many people. I think she's great, but she's not like top tier for me. I still think she's a brilliant companion. So is Tegan. And they felt like a worthy inclusion, because they sort of showed to the audience this is what happens when companions get left behind and they have a bad relationship. And the stuff with like Sylvester McCoy and Peter Davison was just amazing. And the fact that their holograms became solid when they said the most important thing of the speech, I don't know, I just loved it. No notes, it was beautiful. And the baseball bat and the coat. What more can I say? I've been fed. Like you said at the beginning, Josh, I've been fed.
You've been fed. We've all been fed. I liked the fact that I feel like there was a lot of pressure in the build-up from the fandom. I mean, it's not really pressure, it's just people shouting on Twitter. But there was a lot of noise on Twitter about, oh, what exit are they going to choose? Because Ace has had about 14 different exits. Are they going to acknowledge this thing that happened to Tegan in the expanded media? And I like the fact that Chibnall basically kept it as vague as possible, to sort of be like, just whatever you want, really, still sort of works. Because I don't know a lot about all of the Ace exits, but I know that there's definitely a few where it ended badly. And I like the fact that he didn't dwell too much on that. He more focused on the effect of that had in the aftermath, rather than the actual event itself, because it would have just felt like reading off a TARDIS wiki page, I think, if it was just like, this doctor did this to me, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this. I didn't want that. I want, this is how I feel now about the doctor, and I like that. How do you feel, Kat, about Ace and Tegan?
I had 3 things on my wish list basically, and that was Auntie Vanessa reference, absolutely solid, tick. Very satisfied, tick. Catboy reference, they went for both, bloody amazing. Third, they tried to kill each other, which was going to happen anyway, tick. So there is literally nothing more I could have asked from Tegan and Ace. I know it's all in relation to the last. It's my brand, darling. And no, the Auntie Vanessa reference was enough for me, and beyond that, I was sold.
Yeah.
I'm glad she was just the right amount of bitter. Brilliant.
Yeah, I loved it. I think they nailed. I think Ace was great. Ace was very chipper and very I tweeted Ace has got big ADHD vibes for me. Like she's like that bit where she parachutes into the TARDIS. She is just like, let's reference 6 things at once. Hi everyone, and just all over the place. I think Tegan was absolutely spot on. Like the bitterness and the narky side of Tegan was perfect. Dom, what are your feelings on the return of Ace and Tegan?
I'm gonna be really honest. I haven't seen much of Classic Who, so I wasn't really aware of what that was gonna be like. I've seen maybe like one serial with Ace and nothing with Tegan, so that was interesting to discover them.
Yeah,
and like I knew that like the odd thing like Ace calling the Doctor Professor, so that was fun. I was like, yay, just clapping because that's the one thing I knew that was gonna maybe happen. Super happy, but that and like. Braveheart, I think. Braveheart.
Yeah.
With Tegan, yeah. So that was fun, but like that's all I knew. So that's I got what I wanted because I knew nothing.
Yeah. Well, but so if this is like your first major introduction to Ace and Tegan,
yeah.
How do you feel about them? And has this made you, from the perspective of someone who doesn't know a lot about them, has this made you want to go back and watch more Ace and Tegan stories?
Yes. I mean, when the trailer got out after. Legend of Sea Devil? Yeah. I mean, from that moment on, I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, watch Classic Who because I need to know what's their deal. And then life happened, and that just never happened. But definitely at some point when I get some free time, in like 10 years, I'm gonna go back and watch Classic Who.
Yeah. It's a big dive. It's a big dive to jump into. It's a bit of a hellscape diving into Classic Who, but
it's exciting.
Ace is my favorite classic companion, so I was very, very happy. And Tegan is up there as well for me, so I was happy with the return of those two. And obviously there may be more faces that pop up later. But I'm trying to keep this to some semblance of chronological order because it is nearly impossible. But yeah, I mean, there's not much that I have in terms of complaints with Ace and Tegan. Some really lovely, fun moments. And you know what? I saw a lot of people moaned about it when the promo image came back. The jacket, the bat, give me it. I will lap that fan service straight up. That is a bit of me. And Ace taking down Daleks with a baseball bat. It's just in the year of our Lord 2022. It's just the content that I needed. So enter the Master. Catherine, it would be remiss of me not to come to you at this point. Because I feel like we've got the next 20 minutes sort of blocked out for this. So
popcorn.
Get the popcorn out. Because you're obviously the resident Sacha Dhawan stan and just Master stan in general. So how are you and how are you feeling about how the Master was in this episode?
Like I said before, I came out of it mortified because David Tennant come up and said, "What?" That was it. That was all I could remember, and I was stewing there for about an hour. I want to see Shooty, and then I rewatched it. Oh, God, I've not had content. I've not been fed content for 2.5 years. It was like it's like a starving man in the desert, and I was, I ate it up. Everything was perfect. But all my theories were wrong, and I was like, I didn't even mind. I didn't even care. From his first appearance, I mean, Christ, like I thought he was going to be a younger version of an alternate universe, but Sacha Dhawan was oh God, that man can't just act. That man just is other people. He's incredible, and like every single scene he was in, he just ate he slayed, he served. But everything I wanted, of course he's gonna just, do things to piss off Tegan. He's the master at pissing Tegan off, and he'd love to do that. All his interactions with Ace and Tegan as well, is perfect. And when he's getting carried away to the unit cells, he's like, "Oh, can I have a bunk up in the bunker?"
Yeah.
That man, wow.
I loved him. I loved him in this story. I think Sasha, absolutely no. This is Sasha's best performance as the Master for me. This is the one, and this is up there as one of my favourite Master stories in a long time. Because it's the wildness of the plan. The plan is nonsensical, and that is just so the Master. Just a ridiculously convoluted plan for no reason other than to piss everybody off.
You just get the plan is just, stuff everywhere, but it makes total sense because it just, there's these moments where he just slows down, like whatever's going on, and when he's going back into Jodie, he's like, "Oh, don't make me be me anymore." That is the most raw and vulnerable line we've had from the Master in like years and years. It's the most sort of explicit character representation of this. I mean, Sasha said it in the interviews, like, I'm playing a guy who wears a mask all the time. He's just playing constantly different characters, and the mask sometimes slips, and that was it. He did it, and that, the final shot of him, it's him over here by his TARDIS. He's lying down, and 13's over there, and they're like kind of reaching for each other, and that look in his eyes, it's bloody beautiful. He nailed every single look, every single shot. He got to dance to a pop song. It's unbelievable. And you know how many Zine ideas I had just watching it? I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to spend years doing this now. But yeah, I'm a bit pleased, really.
Whoever wants to take the floor, be very careful with your words, because Catherine will come for you if there is any Master slander. So Dom, you're probably safer because there is an ocean between you two, so at least you'll have some time to run. Dom, what did you think of the Master in this story?
Oh my God, what a guy. I'm speechless. Honestly, I loved him. I love to hate him profoundly. And honestly, I lied earlier. I did cry at some point in the episode, and it's when he force regenerates 13. That moment broke me. I was like, what? I for some reason I was convinced we weren't going to see 13 again. I was freaking out. So just like crying on the floor in front of my TV, just going like, no, why you do that? So yeah, so that was a moment. Yeah, so I don't know what to say other than that. He was just, I mean, Sacha Dhawan is insane in the best way possible when he plays a Master. It's just chef kiss. There you go.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Jude, how are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm feeling good about it. I'll be honest, okay? And I don't want to...
Right, like bear in mind, we are on the same landmass right now, Jude.
I know.
How fast can you run?
Well, considering I've been well fed, not that fast. But what I will say, I was not sold on Sasha's Master to begin with, okay? I was very on the fence about him. I was like, do I like him? Do I not? There are some moments that I didn't like. There are some that I did. But this episode has sold me on him. And it's like, it's been the sort of confirmer, if that makes sense. Like, I know where he sits in my Master rankings now. He's like top of the bill. You know what I mean? Like he's in my top group, so to speak. And can I just say, not off the record, on the record, he looked very fit in this episode.
Beautiful man.
I'm not being funny.
Beautiful like, man, Sacha Dhawan.
Him in 13's clothes, him when he was in the lecture, Him as Rasputin. I'm not scared to say it. I found
You're
him
feeling it.
No.
You're feeling
I
it.
find him
You and me
attractive as Rasputin. I thought he did a really, really good job, and I think this is like possibly one of my favorite master performances in the new series. Because it was I think with the master you can either go down the sort of calm and collected, Delgado route, or you can go down the sort of crazy Dewan Sim route. But I think he did both. There was a lot of like levels to it, which I really appreciated. And I love him dearly, and he's a nice guy. And big up Sasha. And he looked great in all the costumes, and I want to see him again, please.
Yeah, I think we all do. I don't think there's ever been more of an outcry for someone to be sort of the ongoing Ainley style master, because I think he's the type of master that I think would be really, really interesting with a lot of different doctors. I feel like we've had a good run of doctor master pairings that are sort of mirrors of each other, but I don't really feel that as much with Sasha and Jodie. I feel like it's the Doctor and this just insane force of chaos.
He's Matt Smith's master, let's be real.
Yeah, I think he'd work really well with Matt Smith.
They have the same purple coat. Well, they're not the same, but you know what I mean. They look similar. I just get the same vibes.
I'm just checking my notes to see what master, because I wrote down a lot of master moments. Hypnosis, I will obey you, just lovely, thank you. The master just slinging insults at everyone in unit.
Just called the Brigadier hilarious. A prick. He's like, Brigadier, mate, you're a wanker.
That's probably my only. I think that dead banter. He could have gone.
Slept with your dad.
Yeah, he could have gone with a proper zinger. He could have been like, mate, your dad's a Cyberman.
Your dad's lol dead.
Yeah.
I think he's just salty about the slap in the death zone. Like he's
so
defo
salty.
He's like, you know what, that really hurt.
Yeah, but the anti Vanessa and the like Dr. Ditch new lines, spot on. One joke. I'm forever a defender of Chibnall's comedy. One joke that I feel like no one has mentioned: the Master's Dalek plan.
I love it.
Oh my god!
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful, wonderful joke, and then just Rasputin.
The best bit of the Rasputin dance was the Dalek and the Cyberman looking at each other like, "What the fuck have we let ourselves into?"
I think that is the funniest gag I've seen in Doctor Who for decades.
Yeah,
that is absolutely hilarious. I love subtle Dalek looks, but a Dalek and a Cyberman just being like, "The fuck."
This guy.
It's the best. I absolutely love that. And the whole plan of becoming the Doctor. I am the Doctor and you will obey me, by the way. What a line.
Nose to nose as well.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. And the costume. Let's talk about those. We got promised some fan wank in the costumes, basically, and we got it, because I never did I think that we'd get it all in one package,
right?
But it's beautiful. For you three, if there was one change that you could make to that costume, what change would you make?
Give me Colin stuff. This is the one bit that really like triggered me. Is there was Tom's scarf, there was Sylvester's pullover, Ten's tie, the celery, and the trousers. There was no Colin reference in the costume. Was it? How hard would it have been to put a cat badge on there? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, just a cat badge.
Suited him as well.
Yeah, because he had cat eyes. He had a little cat face.
I also would have said, like, he's got Tennant's tie. We've already got our Tennant content for this episode. Give us a bow tie. Give us a bow tie.
Yeah.
Give us a cravat. Give us the First Doctor's cravat.
Yes, something like that. Yeah, or a monocle. Yeah, should have they? You know what they should have done? They should have absolutely put the cat amongst the pigeons and put some cushion stuff on there, because people have lost their minds. Yeah, if they'd have put a monocle on there. that would have sent the fandom into a frenzy. But I loved Sasha as the Master Doctor, and yeah, that's another incarnation in the bag, because now there's 4,000 of them. Yeah. The
he is the
14th
Doctor. That's the only time I'll be happy for Ncuti to be the 15th Doctor, is if we are counting that, because I think we should.
I was expecting to see like Jodie Whittaker in the Rasputin costume, and I was a bit disappointed.
Me too.
I was like, where's the beard? Jodie, where's your beard, mate?
I think that's another thing. I'm not disappointed, because I think it's very interesting the way that they went. But part of me does yearn slightly for a straight up body swap, because I think it would have been really, really fun in Jodie's last episode for her to get to play the Master for a bit.
Yeah.
And for Sasha to go full on Northern accent, like pretending to be Jodie, even if it was just for like 5 to 10 minutes for a gimmick, I'd have had it. I think it would have been really, really fun. And I don't really understand the Force regeneration thing.
I don't get it either.
I don't really get how it works. I don't really get what's actually happened.
When I was watching it, I was so confused.
Like, if that's what they used to do to punish them, what happens? And I don't get it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Let's
to
not
me,
think
he forced
about
himself inside 13, but not really. It's really
but
weird.
then if it's like a punishment from like the Time Lord days of old, is that just do they punish 2 people by just forcing one of them into the other?
I think
and basically just like, let's compartmentalize our criminals.
I think what it was,
then we just have to deal with one Time Lord.
Is that like the Force regeneration is to like change them, but he was using it to Force regeneration and to convert at the same time. Like ordinarily there wouldn't be 2 pods, there'd only be 1. But he was like, I'm going to force you to regenerate into me, and then I'm going to put my mind in your body. So he'd still look like the Master.
Okay.
He'd have like a fresh set of regenerations, I assume.
So it was basically what they did in the War Games.
Yeah.
But he just tweaked it to basically make himself the Doctor.
I feel bad for his ear. Imagine getting like fresh piercings like as you regenerate.
Ooh.
Sasha, Mandic and Jodie went to Claire's. I hope he actually committed. I'll be honest.
Claire's accessories is not something that I expect to come up on this podcast. That is a niche reference.
Aren't you glad it did?
I am so glad. Right, I think Catherine, you can go now, because that's all the Master stuff done. I'm joking. Let's talk about the meat and potatoes of the episode. It's not really. It's the fan wank of the episode. But we need to talk about returning Doctors, returning companions. Who wants to take the floor with any opinions on what the hell happened last night? Because I don't have the words, because I'm still crying inside. So who's got feelings about the Guardians of the Edge?
Cried. I had a little cry.
You did have a little cry. I mean, I might actually
all right, you sound like my TikTok comments.
Insert clip here of Jude's TikTok.
This incarnation.
If you show me more Doctors.
No! What are we going to do about it?
Do about what?
Our predicament. This is supposed to be handed over. You can't ruin it for the next one.
Colin!
And you were doing so well.
Where am I exactly? Because the last thing I remember is being forced to regenerate.
There we go. So you've all seen what a little cry constitutes to Jude, because it was basically a full-on breakdown.
Okay, can I just say, it is difficult being a Colin Baker fan in 2022, because I have a few moments. I was at Comic-Con dressed as him from the 2 Doctors, and they were like, I had people come up to me like, oh, you look like the 6th Doctor on holiday, and I'm like, well, no, this is a canon costume. I think you'll find. And I've been chatting to people who aren't as steeped in Doctor Who, and they'd be like, oh, who's your favorite Doctor? And I'd be like, oh, Colin Baker. Oh, is he the one with the scarf? No. No, he's not. So I was
Sacrilege.
It's a bit difficult being a Colin Baker fan because he doesn't get the love he deserves, I don't think. When it comes to references and like, you know, Easter eggs, it seems to be doctors around him that get the focus. So when I heard his voice, you've seen in the clip, I broke down because I just wasn't expecting to see like Colin Baker on the screen in 2022. Frankly, that could have been it for me, but it was, you know, seeing the other ones was pretty mad as well, and the Adric reference.
Oh my god,
hit me like a brick.
All four of them, 5 of them. Jesus.
Yeah, it was 5.
Yeah, shit, that's 5. So we had David Bradley, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, and Paul McGann. Holy shit! What the hell, Catherine? How did you feel seeing those lovely old faces pop up?
See, I didn't go into the episode expecting anything of it. So the only cameo I really wanted deep down was Paul McGann. Oh, I got it in the night of the Doctor close and the gag about him not changing his robes. That is 8 down to a T. And they did him right as well. Yeah. So 8 was the only. I mean, the inclusion of Colin Sylvester was extra nice, but just the little extra way for Paul McGann.
The little Paul McGann cherry on top.
Oh yeah, an 8 and 13 interaction. That's so old. And when Jodie Whittaker joins Big Finish, because she will, when they inevitably get an 8:13 audio, I will lap that shit up.
God,
that's on my bio list,
so
because I'm not usually hot on multi-doctor Big Finishes. That one.
That's a bit of me, as will be 9 and 13.
Oh my god, yes.
That is built for me.
Doctors.
That is a slice of the north for me there. So I am very, very excited.
Have you seen? I saw this tweet. I just quickly say, I saw this tweet, and it was of like there should be a multi-doctor story of Tom Baker, Colin Baker, and Jodie Whittaker, and they should call it the Baker's Dozen. And I just think that's like, I wish I could remember who said it, but like that's just the funniest thing I've ever heard.
That is a great gag.
It's a brilliant gag.
Dom, how did you feel when that moment happened?
Honestly, I was just excited. Like, again, don't really know much about them, and I was just clapping in front of my TV, just being really happy because I knew people would be happy about it. Actually, that's like the best thing. Like seeing the reactions online afterwards was like, I love it. I don't know, like Fenway, love it, the best thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've included Jude crying. So, I mean, insert a video that Jess got of me, of my initial reaction, right here.
That's brilliant.
Oh boy. What the strength of character of this incarnation? The question is.
A predicament. This is supposed to be handed over. You can't ruin it for the next one. And you're doing so well.
Where are we exactly? The last thing I remember is being forced to regenerate.
That's why we're in here. Moving any further. You are not finished. We are not finished.
We being
Vestiges of your consciousness. Fragments of yourself.
From the past. Guardian of the End.
Oh my god, I lost my actual mind. I tweeted because I haven't, up until my rewatch this morning, could not have told you one line that was said in that entire scene. It was nothing. It was white noise because I just, before I'd calmed down, the scene was over, and I was like, I got nothing from that other than shit. What? So I took nothing in. It's a very lovely, well-written scene. I loved the little interactions between like 8 and 7 talking to each other in the same body is just that's just so me. But it was lovely to have them included. And 5 and and Seven getting their little moments in full costume with their companions, those two moments really hit home for me.
I didn't cry about those either.
No, you didn't, did you?
I didn't cry.
Insert clip.
Yeah. What am I thinking seeing all these Cybermen?
Adric.
Now, Braveheart. What?
I missed you.
Missed you too. Now, please, don't get killed. Go.
And like you said before, Jude, like the fact that as they got to that final bit of the speech and they solidified in the hologram, like in universe, no sense whatsoever, but I don't care because it's just so beautiful, and really beautifully written. And I must say, from Quiz Chibnall, fairly understated as well. I think I feel like it was very easy to go really over the top with those moments, but really nice, tight little references. Just the one word of Adric, which set Jude off.
No, it didn't.
But
Shush.
like you could have had to go through the entire explanation of Adric, that boy who was on a ship with the dinosaurs and the Cybermen in Earthshock. But no, they didn't do that. And I was very, very happy. But God, they still rock those costumes, don't they? Ray Holman, take a bow, because
legend.
Absolutely nailed it. And not the only Doctor we saw, because we had basically 10 Doctors last night, which is a bit overwhelming. Joe Martin popped up as well. I have thoughts. How does everyone else feel about Joe Martin in what may be, hopefully not, her final appearance as the Doctor for quite a while on screen?
I feel like I need to rewatch. I didn't have time today to rewatch the episode, but I'm not sure I understand how she got there.
So she was, the little AI things in the shoulders. Yaz was fiddling around with that, and basically she conjured up, I assume, the only other Doctor that she knew about to confuse the Cybermen, because they wouldn't have recognised it as the Doctor, wouldn't have recognised Fugitive as the Doctor, because she technically knows, she doesn't know all the ins and outs of the fact that she's the Doctor, but literally 13 just said, she's me. So I assume she just ran with it and
never seen her in
guessed the costume.
Yeah.
No. It conjured that up. But that is what I think happened. But basically she was an AI, which is where my thoughts lie, if I'm honest, in that she's been on screen 4 times and she's only been real in one of them.
Yeah.
And that is not good. I want more. Why couldn't she have just popped up? I don't really understand why we couldn't. Imagine the scenes of just in the background, just a TARDIS noise, and round the corner walks Joe Martin. Maybe everyone thinks that she's a hologram or an AI, and then it turns out she's just flesh and blood, and everyone's shocked. Something like that. I just want her to be there and actually be the Doctor, rather than just a hologram that says a couple of lines and then pops out again. I think for the first Black Doctor, it just the fact that with her last 3 out of 4 appearances, she has been well and truly sidelined, and she was only in her first appearance properly for like 10-15 minutes. Just there should have been more. There just should have been more.
She needs a spin-off.
She needs a spin-off. She shouldn't need a spin-off, though, is my feeling. Is that if you're going to introduce her, do something with it. But I mean, very excited for Big Finish. They're going to drain me of all of my money listening to those audios. So I'm very excited to see her. But I mean, she's great. Jo Martin is absolutely incredible as the Doctor, just instantly there. I just want them to do something with her so that she can actually, like, imagine Jo Martin with a script with substance for a Doctor. Oh, I just need it. I need it. But yeah, that sort of covers the Doctors. But we've also got a lot of companions as well that returned right at the very end. Jude, cried at them as well, didn't you?
You know what, right? This is what I just thought I'd say.
So did I.
I echo your thoughts
too.
on Jo Martin. I'm very upset that the first person of colour to be cast as the Doctor, as like a main Doctor, was played by Jodie Whittaker in her third appearance. I don't understand. Anyway, that's fine. I've made my thoughts about this on Twitter very, very clear. But yeah, no, I cried a little bit at the end.
I cried a lot.
No, yeah. I've not uploaded a full reaction, but if you think I cried at those, I cried through the whole thing basically. But yeah, the ending actually destroyed me. Like Ian Chesterton.
Oh my god.
Wallop. That knocks me for 6. And then Joe Grant, who is like my favourite classic companion. I was like, and Joe? Yeah.
Dare I even claim this? Friend of the podcast. Kate get an appearance. And Sophie Aldred. Sophie Aldred's been on too. But yeah, I mean, I was so excited. Joe Grant and Ace are my 2 favourite Classic Who companions.
Thanks for not inserting a clip, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I won't insert a clip. Don't worry. Insert clip. No, I'm joking. So yeah, they're my favourite companions from the classic era, and even just one line of Joe Grant is enough to keep me going for years, really. Mel was there.
The bush is coming.
The bush arrived. How did you? Obviously, Dom, like you've said, you've not explored too much of Classic Who.
I've heard about Mel, but I don't.
Yeah.
Know things.
Yeah, I mean, is there much to know about Mel? Is that harsh?
I mean, that's what I heard, basically.
I mean, I've not listened to any Big Finish Mel stories yet. That is my next on my agenda, because I really want to love Mel. Anyway, Ian was there. The longest gap between a character's returning appearance in the history of TV.
Whoa,
which is insane. 57 years since his last appearance at the age of 97. Like that. Oh my God. Just, I'm so thankful that Chris, again, it's fan service for the sake of fan service. He didn't like serve any purpose to the story, but it was just having him there just feels right, and it just feels like a lovely little moment and a lovely nod to the past, and that whole concept of a former companions association is just so cute. Even Jess, who sort of started off watching the episode, was just sat on her phone, and by like halfway through she was like, how am I getting into this? Like she was actually in, and by the end she was like, that's adorable. But yeah, I mean, is there anyone for you three, is there anyone that you would have loved to have seen there that you are slightly disappointed wasn't there? Martha. Is Martha the one?
Martha's the one.
Yep.
But impossible.
Bill
is dead.
I mean, isn't Bill back?
Come on, man.
I thought in lockdown, Bill's now back at uni or something.
Oh yeah.
I think Bill died the first time, then Bill lived a bit and then died again. But it's a big ass build back on the show.
Yeah.
Joe Grant was enough for me.
Joe Grant did it for me.
Could have just shown Katie Manning.
I mean, I'm a little bit sad that we didn't get Joe Grant versus the Master, because that.
If they had just,
Why did you say that?
Crammed it, Josh.
Why did you say that? Now I want that, and I can't have it.
I know. No, you want it.
I would have happily sacrificed Kate. I would have killed people off for that. She could have died, and I wouldn't have cared. Joe Grant versus the Master.
I've waved the flag for just kill Kate on this podcast before. No, nothing personal. I was convinced she was going to die, and I've made an absolute fool of myself in the fact that she
can die. She's been on the TARDIS. She can die.
Exactly. Kill her off and just give me Katie Manning in future, please.
Yes, please.
But we all love Katie Manning. But yeah, what a lovely little tribute, and I think it was lovely. Graham was great in this. I thought Graham was hilarious, and Graham and Ace is the companion partnership that I never knew that I needed. #Grace. That is definitely on the nose for a shit name. Yeah, Graham and Ace as a companion partnership is something I didn't know I needed. What we're going to do? Let's break this up slightly, because I mean we've covered most things other than sort of the main topic, which is the Yaz and the death of the 13th Doctor. So, I mean, before we jump into that, let's go and slide along to, I mean, you're about to hear from a man who has just popped up at the end of this episode. It's David Tennant joining us for Bloody Twitter.
For God's sake! Bloody Twitter!
So we've got some thoughts and some feelings. None of them are very well coerced, or they're not very cohesive, as I don't think anyone's thoughts are right now.
That's a vibe.
No, yeah, definitely a vibe. Jack @Ann_awful_Jack, friend of the podcast from An Awful Lot of Running. I adored it from top to bottom. My ceiling is beyond fucked, for fuck's sake.
I was going to ask how your ceiling is, Josh.
It's literally right there. There is a gaping hole in my ceiling.
Do you want to see my ceiling? Look.
Mine is exactly the same.
Big up the ceiling.
We've both gone through it. I will never escape these ceiling jokes. So much joy, so much brilliance. I laughed. Stop with the ceiling jokes, okay? Jack is opening it up here, and all you're doing is just bringing back jokes from last year. Come on. Jesus Christ. So much joy, so much brilliance. I laughed, cried, and screamed my way through. A brilliant celebration of Who and a fitting swan song for Jodie. Not sure about this David Tennant chap at the end, though. Yeah, the Yaz, not my Doctor arc. And he also said, "Oh, and fuck you for all of the Kate was going to die shit, Josh. I cannot believe I predicted so much. Rah, rah, Rasputin, classic Doctors appearing, Ian Chesterton. I must use my new clairvoyance for evil, not good." I mean, I also did call 5, 6, 7, and 8 could pop up as a cameo. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. Thank you, Jack. Ben @RealEnthusiast. The chibbiest episode that ever chibbed. Like many people, I got very excited by all the fan wank, and the episode's brisk pace made it a fun time, but it's definitely one of those turn your brain off experiences. So much of it makes no sense. Yaz deserved a better exit, and a quick follow-up. Tennant and the 2023 teases at the end had me shrieking. That will be all. They had Catherine shrieking for completely different reasons, I believe. But how do we feel about that? That's I think I loved it. I think it's very strange because I've seen a lot of people who have very similar thoughts, and I would probably agree with all of that. But I think I lean on the side of, in spite of all of that, I loved it. But I think some people have the exact same feelings and are thinking, I'm underwhelmed or disappointed. which I think is weird that we can sort of have the same thoughts but come to a completely different conclusion. But how do you guys fit? Do you think that's a fair assessment, that it was a bit of a mess?
Yeah, but it was really well executed mess.
Yeah.
It's like you could have a complete, piece of shit, but shit can look shiny, and it was enjoyable. It was like, who cares about, everything?
Yeah.
We've got Ian Chesterton, at the end, supporting the Doctor's transition. We've got a companion who doesn't know about regeneration, and is finding out their kidnapper is now not a man anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Ian must be absolutely baffled by this entire situation.
Does he even know what regeneration is?
No, he wouldn't, would he?
No.
I mean, it depends if you canonize the comics, because I'm pretty sure Ian met 11.
No.
But like,
poor guy.
Yeah. I think I sort of agree with the sentiment that it was a bit of a mess, but I feel like that's every anniversary special. I think plot-wise, they're all utter nonsense and don't really make any sense at all. But I think they did fun stuff with it. Next one from Cal at generic_tweeting, good friend of the podcast. They've said, packed to the brim with references and action, but it all felt like it flowed together quite neatly. Everyone felt like they did at least something. Not sure how I feel about Yaz's exit, and it didn't feel natural. That said, Jodie, Mandip, and Sasha were all on top form. Goodbye, 13. Lovely sentiments. And the final message from Twitter, which is my favourite that we received, was from Charlie at Verve Vivo, which was Paul McGann, 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 which I think sums up my thoughts beautifully. So before we go to my favourite part of the episode, which is the return, and for the final time in this era, the return of Quiz Chibnall to the Who Knew podcast. Before we do that, let's have a quick chat about the reason we're all here, the end of Yasmin Khan and the end of the 13th Doctor. Let's start at Yas first, because there was a bit in there in Bloody Twitter about people not being sure about Yaz's exit. Dom, we'll go to you first.
Yeah.
How do you feel? And as a Thasmin stan, I have been well and truly recruited, and I'm so sad that you did, because now you've all left me with this gutted feeling of not having a kiss. You all reeled me in, and now you've left me in the gutter. But how do you feel about Yaz's exit in particular?
It's a really tough one for me. I'm very conflicted about it, because after I watched the episode, it didn't feel wrong to me for some reason. But it also didn't feel, I don't know how to say it. It didn't. I'm gonna look at my notes. What did I think? It's a mess in my head actually about it, because it's, in a way, because of what she told Dan about the Doctor not being able to say goodbye, and then her not saying goodbye to the Doctor, because basically I think it's out of respect for the Doctor, maybe, that it wasn't kind of like a fulfilled Tasman thing, and just I think it's a lot. Honest, my thoughts on this make no sense. Yeah, it's a tough one. My head is going all over the place, because I've seen friends Tasman stands that are completely destroyed by the ending, and they think it's it wasn't enough, and I get it. I completely understand the sentiment. their critique of Yaz's ending makes sense. But in my head, like, I wasn't waiting for a kiss. And that's like the main thing about Yaz's ending. I think that people are kind of, they wanted more of that. But like in my head, like there was no way to wrap up Tasman in a way that would make people happy, because love stories with the Doctor just don't work. That's just how it is. And what I realized earlier while I was taking notes, if they acknowledge their feelings for each other during the episode, I think there wouldn't have been a way for Yaz to leave without dying. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, to me, that's just that wouldn't have been possible. So I think maybe that's a choice that Chibnall made to just kind of avoid the question, to not be forced to kill Yaz, because maybe he didn't want her to die. Maybe there's like plans for like a spin-off. I don't know, like Big Finish, do your thing. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Catherine, how do you feel? How do you feel about the whole Yaz malarkey? Because it seems to be, to me, the most controversial aspects of this episode. I think that's fair to say, and I think a lot of people have different thoughts on it. So how do you feel about it?
I think I tweeted out earlier, so my thoughts as a whole. I haven't been fully on board with Yaz and the Doctor, not because, like, not for any reason, but I quite characteristically think that all Doctor companion romances should end in absolute tragedy. Gore, death, blah, 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 blah. And it felt like we didn't, there was something building up in Eve of the Daleks, Legends of the Sea Devils, that I think warranted a more sort of decisive ending, because the ending we got was Yaz essentially saying, was the Doctor and Yaz sort of assuming that Yaz would leave, and Yaz just walked. And I, even though I'm not a huge Yaz fan, she's all right. I like her. I wanted more for her. I wanted her to follow in the footsteps of Martha, because she is very clearly, like, has become so strong on her own, so independent, and can function without the Doctor. And we just needed that moment of, it's very clear that you are hiding things from me, you will put me in danger, whatever, and I know I can't ever be with you, or whatever. And we needed something to verbalize that. And what we got instead was, I think it was trying to make a point that didn't quite land, that there's no need for goodbyes. But in this instance, I think there really was. Because now I want to fill in the gap of what Yaz does after she leaves, and I can't, because there's, right, all I know is Yaz goes to, like, companion therapy once a week, and that's it. I mean, what does she do? It just doesn't. With Martha, you had something, and with Yaz, you've got this sort of, I can't live without you. Oh, I'm living without you, with nothing there, and it really frustrated me.
Yeah, we've got a hand up. We've got a hand up. We've got to go to the hand.
I just thought of something. I feel like Yaz outgrown the Doctor, but it wasn't clear enough in the script.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah,
I mean, it's clear, like, her actions, like the way she saved the Doctor, she caught Ace with the TARDIS. Like, she can clearly fight the TARDIS just as good, as well as the Doctor, if not better. But in terms of, like, this is pushing me to leave you, because clearly I can go on and be my own person now without you. Like, that, there's a gap there, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of how I feel. Is I was a bit like you, Dom. Like, when I first watched it, I don't know whether it's because there was so much going on. I was sort of like, oh, that was a nice ending, and it sort of worked. And then when I rewatched, I was like, there's something missing here as to why we've taken this. It feels like there's scenes missing. And I also noticed just throughout the episode, and if I'm honest, this is probably my main gripe with the entire era. Even though there's things that I love, there's things that I don't. I think my main issue is just missed opportunities. I think this episode is full of things of that could have been used for Yaz's exit. That could have been used for Yaz's exit. That could have been used for Yaz's exit. But they decide to go with none of it. And it feels a bit empty for me. I don't really know why.
I feel like if we'd had her family at the end, like maybe she could just tell them about like the doctor, her adventures, how she fell in love with her, how like she's clearly not heterosexual, like just acknowledge the feelings in a different way. You know, that would have been amazing.
Jude, how do you feel about it?
I think I agree with basically everything that's been said. The way I view it is like, I don't instinctively like human, like companion doctor relationships, because the doctor is so intelligent and so old and so alien that it's a bit odd to me. However, I was sort of in the Yasmin camp. I was, happy with the way things were going because it was presented to me in a way that I could get on board with. The doctor's sort of quite standoffish, but Yaz clearly loves the doctor. From the ending, I thought that they'll go down, I thought before going in, they'll either go down the route of Yaz, outgrows the doctor and goes, you're dangerous, I love you, but I can't be with you. This is not going to end well for me and I have to get out of the situation, a bit like what Martha did. And Yaz sort of leaves on her own accord, or they go down the sort of, the doctor tells that to Yaz in a way that, like in School Reunion, where the Tennant's like, you wither and you die. Imagine that happening to someone that you love, whatever. Go down that route and just say, look, I know we both have feelings for each other, but it can't work out. And it seemed like they wanted to be too safe and just go with neither of them. And Yaz just sort of like, it's like a puff of air. Yaz is just gone. And it's like we had a really lovely scene. Like, don't get me wrong, the scene when they're sat on the TARDIS is really, really lovely. The other bits of the episode fed me, and that scene made me sort of a bit peckish. I wanted a bit more. You know what I mean?
I think, I thought that, like, if I take out each individual scene in that leads up to that exit, from Yaz carrying the doctor, that scene where she's sort of comforting Yaz, but 13's also sort of losing it, and Yaz is sort of half fighting back the tears. The performances from both of them is incredible. Especially Mandip. I feel like Mandip was incredible through this whole episode. And I loved that scene. And I love the scene sat on top of the TARDIS. And I love the simplicity of the do it with a look kind of goodbye, just looking at each other from across the park. In isolation, I love all of those moments, but I don't think it works as a whole exit together. That's my issue mainly. But yeah, it's a strange one. I feel like one of the biggest missed opportunities for me was that use of Ace and Tegan. It felt like at the start we had that moment where Ace and Tegan was like, "We're you from decades ago," and that look from Yaz, I was like, "That's where it's going to start." This is the start. And then as the episode goes on, like you were saying about how she sort of outgrows the doctor, she's being the doctor through the episode. She deals with a companion exit, and then she goes on this big adventure. But they just didn't do it. I don't know. It just,
I know what you mean, because I think with like take School Reunion for example, Sarah Jane is used as a catalyst to say this is why the relationship with the doctor can't work. And I think the same thing should have been done with Tegan and Ace. Look, they've aged, I haven't, this can't work, lives are so different. And they didn't go down that route, and they should have done. But I'm not like mad at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not.
On the fence. I'm on the fence.
Like, I get why Mandip said that it was like a natural ending, because it's like, it feels in a way that like because of how it was written, it was the only way it could go, but things could have been different. But and there's a thing about like TV shows, media, whatever, like it's always, there's so many things that we get from them, and like every person here and like people who are gonna listen to this later, like you're all gonna have different perspective on this, and like that's the coolest thing about this, I think. Like maybe some people got exactly what they wanted, and like good for you guys.
Yeah, I like that, and I do. The one aspect of it that I do like is the not saying goodbye thing, because I think it works for Yaz to not want to put the Doctor through something that she knows she hates. I think that is a really, really lovely aspect, and I just think it would have been so much better if there was just a bit more behind it. But yeah, I mean, I am. It's going to be strange watching Doctor Who without Yaz, because she's been around for so long now, and it's also going to be strange watching Doctor Who without Jodie Whittaker, 13th Doctor. Probably one of our final points of the evening. How do we feel about Jodie through this whole episode? I mean, it's actually mad thinking that she sort of gets Christmas invasioned, because like there's about 25 minutes where she's not in it, and she's basically just sort of a side character of holograms, but she's still, I think this is one of my favorite performances from Jodie. I think she was great all the way through. We got the perfect balance of her humor, her sort of the slight bits of darkness that we get from 13, and the hiding things and stuff like that. I just thought Jodie was great throughout. How do we all feel about the way 13's story ended?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love how she kind of circled back to how she was when she started, like hopeful, childish, like that last line. It's perfect. It's so her. So
yeah. Jude, how do you feel?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, Jodie Whittaker is a bit like Capaldi for me, in the sense that as the seasons go on, I love them more and more. And by their last episode, I'm like, I love you so much. Why are you leaving? Sort of thing, which happened in this episode. And I thought, well, this is great. I'm going to cry. And I did. But yeah, it was a wonderful send off. And I think her last lines and her referencing the third Doctor with the blossomiest blossom was lovely as well. But yeah, her last lines were great because it wasn't Jodie speaking, it was the Doctor. And I love it when the last lines are from the Doctor. It's why I'm not a fan of I Don't Want to Go, because it feels like David Tennant speaking, not the 10th Doctor. But yeah, she was brilliant in this episode, and her acting with Mandip in the sort of final scenes, like you said earlier, are just some of my favorite sort of Doctor interactions. I don't know, I feel so contented with it. I just, it's left me with everything I wanted, and it was filmed, well, CGI in Dorset, which is where I'm from. So big up the Dorset massive.
Love it. Love Dorset. Catherine, how do you feel?
This is going to be an opinion that is not exactly the same. Yeah, I didn't actively dislike it, apart from one part, which was sort of the lead up to the regeneration. And I thought the last lines were perfect, utterly perfect, but I'm not a huge fan of the Doctor. She got shot, she got killed, and then she went, hang on, and sort of had a bit of a bumble around while she was regenerating. It was all right, but by the time I got to the scene where she regenerates, there was something sort of saying, right, go on, you are leaving your life, and you got the sense that the Doctor had really enjoyed being that Doctor, and it didn't feel like it had the same emotional closure for me. The last lines were very her, and I'm very glad Quiz Chibnall, came up with them early and stuck with them. But going from not being satisfied with the sort of, well, I'm dying now, bye Yaz, bye, to David Tennant was why I was initially so disappointed. And there is the thing to say about Jodie essentially being sidelined in her last episode, which obviously gave me content that I wanted, but very valuable content that I really liked. Like, I was, holy hell, of course I was there for it. But I think I saw a tweet halfway after I watched it. This is Jodie, a side character in her own death, her own regeneration story. And I really would have preferred it for her to have that, constant presence throughout. It's just she slips away and she slips back in. So I've liked Series of 13. It's a bit bittersweet for me, and as I said before, for all characters, I want them to, die horribly because I'm a masochist. So the more horrible the ending, the better. So for me, it was a little off, but I think my taste for blood and gore is not shared by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'm glad so many people liked it.
Yeah, I have to say I'm probably leaning more towards the Dom and Jude side of loving it. I just loved. I just think that last scene, really hit me. And if you'd have asked me, I'd have sort of been. I think I was expecting to not be as emotional about this regeneration as I have about previous ones, but it really hit me right at the last minute, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And just it was the cutting between Jodie and the companions in the meeting really hit me. And yeah, those final lines were lovely. And my main point with it, I think, is sort of leaning back to what Jude said about it being the Doctor talking, not the actor. I don't necessarily mind it when it's the actor saying goodbye, but I love the regenerations that are hopeful, because it's, especially for a kid going through this, it's quite a hard, horrible thing to have to watch. And when I was a kid, my first regeneration was Chris, and that comforted me into this notion of regeneration. He was the one who introduced me to the concept. The Ninth Doctor introduced me to it, my doctor, and he basically said, it's all going to be okay. And I love the fact that it felt that same vibe. It wasn't said in the same way, but it felt that same vibe from Jodie. Just the hope and the joy of it, and not really overly somber. It was basically the happiest regeneration I think we've had. And I loved that. I loved that aspect of it. And it looked beautiful.
And well, even in the way she moves, like all the other doctors before were always just throwing their arms like in the back like that, but she really kind of moved in a way like she really opened herself up to what was next. That was really cute and moving. Love that.
And Ninth Doctor parallel is perfect as well, because it, in a way, she's the way the Ninth Doctor sort of talks to Rose and just talks her through it, and even makes her laugh, talking about dogs with no noses and all this sort of stuff. It did feel like they were sort of preparing the audience and saying, look, it's going to be fine. Whatever's next is okay, and change is fine. I love it. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. And I just think a really, really sad, somber ending really wouldn't have worked for this Doctor. I think you had to do something Like, Kat is looking at me like, no, kill them all. Kill them
13
all,
just
chop off
crying,
her
like,
head.
I'm so sad. And then she dies.
That is the master in Kat right there.
Very much.
But I just thought it was a lovely, lovely ending. And I am genuinely, I've consumed a lot of 13th Doctor content recently. I've been diving into the expanded media and books and stuff like that. I feel really sad, and because I've loved this era, not necessarily. I don't think for me, I don't think the highs and the lows are that different to the highs and lows of other eras. I feel like some people, in my opinion, think that the gap is a lot wider than it actually is. I think. I don't really see it as, I think the highs and lows of the Capaldi era are quite similar to the highs and lows of this era. But for me, I'm going to miss the vibe. I'm just going to miss the vibe. I'm going to miss cozy Sunday night stories full of a roast dinner, like watching Doctor Who and just being taken on a daft, fun adventure that I can just sort of lose myself in. And I hope it doesn't lose much of that in the next era. Though I imagine it's going to go back to bombastic Saturday nights again. But fine, that's okay. I've had my fill of coziness, and that's how I feel in this era. It's quite cozy. But how do the rest of you feel about the end of this era?
I am going to miss the vibes as well. I know what you mean about just settling down, Sunday night. The vibes around the whole community's changed. It's just transformed, and I don't know. It's felt so cozy and nice, and obviously, as someone who likes the Master, he's gonna pick him. Of course he is, but never like this, and like just it's been a weird time. I've never loved being a fan so much.
Yeah. I think I'm exactly the same, you know, because I wasn't like an active part of the fandom before this era, but there was something about the excitement and the build-up of in 2018 of something completely new. Like, this is not like Doctor Who I have seen before, and the Doctor is going to be completely different to anything I've ever seen before. That excitement sort of pulled me back in. And then over the next couple of years, and then especially in lockdown with all of the watch-alongs and getting involved in the fan community on Twitter, and then starting this bloody thing, been a lovely time. Weirdly, at the time where it's probably infamously the most horrific time to be a Doctor Who fan because of it's so divisive and there's so many different factions. I've just found a lovely little place to enjoy Doctor Who. Jude, how do you feel?
Yeah, I have to agree. Like, Jodie's been the Doctor for like the whole of my adult life, which is really weird to say, but like,
that's mad, isn't it?
Like, yeah, she became the Doctor in like 2017.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, I've made so many friends, and I've had so many wonderful experiences with this era as a backdrop, because it was so, I don't know, like you were saying, Doctor Who is so fresh and so new, and the amount of things I've done and people I've met and just great experience I've had because of, this era and the way it's made me feel and the whole vibe of it. I don't know, it's going to be, the vibes will continue, but the era is sort of over now, and it's sort of quite it's something that I have to sort of come to terms with, that like Doctor Who is carrying on, but it won't be the same. And this era has been very sort of formative for me as a Doctor Who fan and for me as a person. So that's what I've got to say about it. Big up Jodie, big up Chibs, big up Matt Strevens, big up all the people.
Big up,
especially Sasha Dewan.
Yeah,
bring him
big
back.
Up Sasha. Big up Sasha. Big up Mandip.
And Mandip. I forgot about Mandip. I love Mandip.
You forgot Mandip. But not Dan. Not John Bishop. You want him to die.
No, I don't.
Dom.
It's a big one.
your doctor.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
I've been there. How are you okay?
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting emotional right now more than I was during the episode for some reason. I mean, like the thing with my I got into Doctor Who because I wanted the next Doctor to be a woman. Basically, I started watching in 2011, and I was like there was like an interview with Helena Bonham Carter with Craig Ferguson, and like there was like this tiniest mention of her maybe getting on the TARDIS at some point in the future, like completely random, like that never happened, that will never happen. But for some reason, that moment just made me go like, okay, I think I'm gonna need to watch that show, because I kept hearing about it online. So like to have that happen 6 years later, 2 weeks after I met David Tennant, by the way, who was my doctor before Jodie, like it just meant so much to like, you know, be able to wear that costume and like look like her, and like creatively that era, mostly because of the pandemic, like that really got me into writing. And like now I'm doing the audio series with you guys, which, you know, like if you put me back 5 years ago, I never would have done that. I never had that kind of confidence in myself, because like English is my first language, and I kind of always freaked out about the way I sound and what I write, whatever. But like that, like it brought me back into writing, and it gave me the confidence to do it, and the kind of motivation to keep working hard on that. And you know, I'm gonna annoy the shit out of Big Finish because I want to write for her so much.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. And like, you know, I started my PhD last fall because of Jodie, because she got cast as a doctor, and I'm studying like the misogynistic response to gender swap franchises, like in online fan spaces. So that kind of need to, I guess, vindicate Jodie caused me to get my PhD. It's so insane that like there's so many things in my life that happened because of like Jodie and Mandip and Chris and like all of them, because they decided to like break that fucking glass ceiling and do it. And like it's wild. So I mean, thanks to all of them, because like you made my life what it is right now, and you made me the person I am. So you know, that's it's a lot. It's a wild way to live, being a Whovian.
Guys, you're choking me up here.
I'm gonna cry for the 15th time in the past 24 hours.
No, I have no tears left to cry. I am Ariana Grande out here. I'm telling you. I mean, that I think is a perfect place to finish our chat about the power of the Doctor, and the perfect place to bring you all crashing back down to earth with the most brutal of quizzes before we finish tonight. So, for the final time in the Chris Chibnall era, Jesus Christ, I'm going to have to get a new name, and it terrifies me. Please, everybody, welcome to Quiz Chibnall. I don't even know if I have the sound file for the music anymore because it's been that long. I'm going to have to try and find it. Anyway, Quiz Chibnall. We're going to do a quiz, but we're doing a quiz with a bit of a twist. So what's going to happen is I'm going to ask a question. There is upwards of over 20 answers, I think, to this one question. And what we're going to do is these three lovely people here are going to take it in turns, giving me an answer. And it's an elimination. So the first person who can't give me an answer is out.
God.
And then it's a one-on-one. So we're just going to go round and round. This may take a while until someone can't give me an answer. Okay?
Sounds great.
The question is... The question is... basically, you need to name every appearance of a regeneration in Doctor Who. So we're talking televised appearances, we're talking strictly the Time Lord-esque regeneration, not like when the Daleks regenerate in the sewers or whatever. I'm not having that. We're talking a Time Lord in the looser sense of the word, or someone with links to Time Lords regenerating in an episode, and we either get to see it from start to finish, big old yellow flash, or we sort of get the implied nearness of the finish, if that makes sense. So I'm looking for episode titles, stories. I don't need the parts, I don't need anything else, just the title of the story. So, Jude, you're going to start us off.
The 10th planet.
The 10th planet. The 10th planet is gone. Okay.
Good.
Dom, you're next.
The Power of the Doctor.
The Power of the Doctor. Yeah, it would be remiss of anybody to miss that. That would be horrendous. Kat, you're next.
You know how you ask a question and every single answer just flies out of your head immediately?
Yeah.
Oh.
Every
the
regeneration.
End of time.
The end of time is gone. Jude, hit me with
The War
it.
Games.
The War Games, which was actually not in the list on TARDIS Wiki. I had to add it in. This is why I'm worried about this quiz, if I'm honest, because I feel like one of you is going to say something and it's not going to be on this list.
I will argue the case. You know I will.
That's fine. We can argue cases all we like. But I am the adjudicator here, so I make the final decision. Dom, hit me with it.
The Parting of the Ways.
The Parting of the Ways. I'll take it because it's correct. Kat, go.
Logopolis.
Logopolis. See, once the standard regeneration stories dwindle down, I feel like that's when it gets tough. Jude.
I'm going to go on a cheeky one here and say The Lie of the Land.
I am not counting that.
Why?
That's an illusion, isn't it?
That counts.
It doesn't actually regenerate. It's an illusion.
Okay, what are the parameters then?
Not an illusion.
All right, okay. Can I have another go?
I'll give you another go. Go on.
Okay, I'll go with Planet of the Spiders in that case.
Planet of the Spiders, go. Dom.
Twice Upon a Time.
Twice Upon a Time. These are they're going down fast. Kat.
Caves of Androzani.
Caves of Androzani is gone. Jude.
Time and the Rani.
Time and the Rani. Dom.
The End of Time Part 2.
The End of Time has been said.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
That's fine. That's fine.
What was the other one I was thinking about? Technically, Let's Kill Hitler.
Let's Kill Hitler is on here. That is one of the tough ones.
Yeah.
Catherine.
Night of the Doctor.
The Night of the Doctor I will take. I will accept. Can't remember if it was actually televised, but it's on my list, so you can have it. Jude.
Hellbent.
Hellbent. I'm worried that we may actually have a joint all three winners if you get all of them. But there is definitely a couple of curveballs on here. Dom.
I have a question. Does it have to be like a full regeneration?
If we see like sort of like half, what's your answer? And we'll
Day of the Doctor?
The Day of the Doctor is on my list.
Okay, cool.
I think I said if it implies the ending of
an
generation, I'll take it.
Cool.
The Day of the Doctor. Catherine.
It would be remiss of me if I didn't say Utopia.
Utopia, which was one I completely forgot about. Jude.
I'm gonna be so cheeky here and say Destiny of the Daleks.
Destiny of the Daleks is on the list. Dom.
Have we said Name of the Doctor?
The Name of the Doctor is an incorrect answer. So I'm afraid, Dom, you are out. It is an incorrect answer, isn't it? Please help me, everybody. I'm sure.
I think so.
What's Matt's last episode?
If anyone wants to take it.
Who regenerates in Name of the Doctor?
No one.
Oh.
Wait, Kat, what did you say?
Time of the Doctor.
Time of the Doctor. So close. So close. But I'm afraid, Dom, you're
the Doctors.
Because this has to end at some point. Yeah, there's something of the Doctor. Now, Jude and Kat, it's straight heat between you two now.
Whose go is it now?
And we are dwindling down. Jude, it is you.
I'm gonna say the Stolen Earth / Journey's End.
Stolen Earth, Journey's End is there.
Banger.
Catherine, can I just say I only have 5 answers left.
Christ. I'm going to say The Timeless Children.
The Timeless Children is correct.
Can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead.
Does it have to be a Time Lord's regeneration? Because I have an answer, and it might not be on the list. But
well,
if I just say
depends.
If I just say it,
okay.
And if it's
it depends. Because I mean, Let's Kill Hitler's on here, and River Song's not Time Lord. So
okay, can I say Underworld because the vampires in Underworld regenerate?
I don't have Underworld on here because I didn't class it as a proper regeneration because it does state on TARDIS Wiki that it is a different type of regeneration.
Okay, all right.
So, I mean, Kat, I can crown you as the winner unless you want Jude to be given another shot. Oh, this is your call.
See, I know he's got more. I just know.
I might not. I don't like
do,
Doctor Who.
Liar.
There's only 4 left. There's only 4.
I've got about 1 left in my head, in all honesty.
Right. I would rather. Come on, make it a fair fight. Give him another chance.
Go on.
I might as well lose heroically.
Okay. The Curse of Fatal Death.
I've got it on the list, and I will take it. Kat.
Okay.
This is make or break because there's only 3 answers left.
You just said regeneration, and this is an episode where regenerative powers are used via Time Lords. I'm going to say Angels Take Manhattan.
That should be on there. I'm saying that should be on there.
Jude's taking it. If you're accepting that as an answer,
if this fucks me over, I don't care.
Okay. Yeah, that is not on my list, but it is now on my list.
Thank you.
So Jude, you could win. Yeah. Well, you can't win it here. Well, you maybe. It depends.
Has the TV movie been said?
Surprisingly, no. That no one had said the TV movie. So Jude, you have claimed the TV movie.
Big up.
I only have 2 left.
Has Trial been said?
Trial.
Can you count?
Oh, who regenerates in Trial? Where's the regeneration?
Because it's
what?
Who regenerates in Trial?
Yeah.
I've seen that and I don't remember.
Well, because Time in the Rani's been said.
Yeah.
Which is Collins.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I can't say Trial then. Right, okay.
You can't, because it would be
I
incorrect.
forgot. He doesn't die. He doesn't bloody die. Right.
Have you got anything else left in you? There's 2 left on my list. And one is very difficult, and one is actually, I think, maybe more obvious than people would think.
Oh.
More obvious. Hey. Right, so.
I'll give you a clue.
Don't.
Yeah.
You don't want a clue?
Hey, give me a clue. Give me a clue.
Dom, shall I give them a clue?
I'm bitter, so no.
No? No clue? Cruelness.
I'm a bit competitive, a bit like Jodie for that.
Okay. Kat, I'm gonna have to push you here. Do you have an answer for me?
Right.
Or are we about to crown Jude as the winner?
My crown ready just in case.
Oh God.
Actually, I want to know what's the clue. So.
Right.
You say it.
Sure, hang on. So are you turning on the? We're going full Liz Truss on the clue. Okay. We're going full Tory on the clue. Right. The clue is, it's not. I don't know if it's going to help you. Neither of these regenerations are the Doctor or the Master.
Shit. Right. Oh, right. Okay. Big guess. God. It's not.
I hate this game. I hate this game.
The Impossible Astronaut.
Now, do we accept it? Because you've given me the wrong part.
Shit. No, it's a two-parter.
It's a two-parter.
You know what I meant. You know what I meant. The intention was there.
Dom, how do you feel about
Dom,
this?
please.
Are we going brutal? And we saying that is an incorrect? Because if you'd have said the Impossible Planet, the Day of the Moon, I probably would have taken it. Well, I definitely would have taken it because you'd have said the right answer. But I don't know if I can take it if you haven't said.
Why am I doing?
Dom said the Partner of the Ways, and if Dom had said Bad Wolf, I couldn't have given it to Dom.
Yeah.
And I think you would have argued that, Kat. You definitely would have.
No, I would not. I would not have been bitter.
This isn't bitterness. This is correctness.
This is very bitter.
Jude.
Yeah?
I have to crown you the winner. Catherine, I am so sorry.
I told you this would happen.
It's on a technicality. Definitely on a technicality. For anybody who wants to know at home, the last story was the twin dilemma with Asmail. I would count that as a regeneration.
Yeah.
It's basically suicide, but
yeah,
Asmail in the twin dilemma. And Baby River in Day of the Moon regenerates.
Did anyone say Utopia, by the way?
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
So, Jude, I mean, this has ended incredibly bitterly. The complete opposite of the 13th Doctor's era. This has ended the complete opposite. But
this is my crown, and I wear it.
This is the crown. Jude, I'm sure, will take a bitter win and run with it to the hills.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, that sort of brings us to the end of the show. I mean, there is one thing that we sort of need to very, very quickly discuss, which is David Schutte 60th. What?
Go to Kat first, please.
Kat, how do you feel about this? Are you excited by any chance?
Considering I slagged it off on Radio Kent a few hours ago, I hate with my whole heart the fact that we didn't see Jodie to Schutte. I had a bingo card. I had a little list I was following, and I said, if David Tennant shows up, dares to show his cheeky little face, and he says what, I'm out. And he did, and he said it twice.
He said it thrice.
He said it thrice.
He said it thrice. He did. That's even worse. I didn't have it out for 10 before. I did a bit, but that silly little man better watch his back, because I want shooty content and I want it now.
This is harsh. I mean, can I make the case that depending on what happens in the 60th, we could still see Jodie to Schutte, because it was filmed as an open-ended regeneration. They could we could have 2 regeneration scenes.
Yeah.
And once everything's resolved in the 60th, it could end with Jodie coming out of the TARDIS, the same last words, and then we get Schutte on top of the cliff.
I'd never considered that, but that's what I want.
I actually want that. I think that's what I would
want
like.
To go back and correct
and then also Jodie's in the 60th as well.
It looks like a teleport. Tennant appearing doesn't look like he regenerated. He looks like a freaking teleport. He just appears and he's in his clothes. Can I just say something really quickly?
Go.
Because I I actually am not happy about what happened. Okay, and I don't want to bring the mood down, but like here's the tea. Okay, so Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, love her or hate her, has received so much sexism and unfair criticism, and people comparing her to which actor? David Tennant all the time. And to then have Jodie Whittaker regenerate into David Tennant at the end of her episode just is not, I don't like it. We've got Ncuti, who's the first like person of color Doctor to be like a numbered Doctor, the first person of color to play the Doctor and be numbered and be like a main, this will be a main incarnation that gets, you know, all the merchandise and all of this, to then to sort of revert to Tennant midway as this sort of like palate cleanser for the NMDs. I'm kind of upset, and I want to see Jodie become Ncuti like they deserve, and I won't be calling Tennant number 14. I will not be doing it. I'm sorry. He can be called that canonically, but I will be referring to Ncuti as number 14, and as Tennant as what was that? The what was that Doctor, or the what Doctor, or the I've got new teeth Doctor.
Yeah, Dom, how do you feel?
Pretty much the same. I mean, I was expecting David to be like the result of that regeneration. I wasn't surprised about it, but it hurts in a way. Like I love him. Like I said it earlier. He was my doctor before Jodie got cast. Whatever. Like love him, love the guy. But the like what it means to bring him back after Jodie, it's literally a slap in the face. Literally, because like we spent 5 years trying to just do our little thing online, enjoy the show like Among Us, and just kind of not bother people, and now there's like this need to literally kind of de-regenerate like and like just trying to stick on to the past and bring back that hype from like 2010 whatever. I personally don't like I get the move for the 60th. Like it makes sense to have a doctor that we know to really kind of hold the celebration on their shoulders. It makes sense.
I'm
just
okay. I feel similar in some ways. There is a look, I'm going to be completely honest. There is a 9-year-old boy inside of me screaming, Jude, stop it. my 9-year-old self.
Okay.
That's better. Jesus Christ. My 9-year-old self is internally screaming with excitement at the idea of David Tennant and Catherine Tate in Doctor Who again. I'm very, very excited to see it. I don't necessarily think that this is the best way to execute it. I think I share very similar thoughts there. But as again, I will say, I am reserving judgment dependent on what they do in the 60th, because I think there is a way that this can be softened slightly by addressing the idea of reverting to the past constantly not necessarily being a good thing. If this is a victory lap of it's 2008 again, let's all get on the gravy train, I'm sure I'll have fun.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily what I'd like to see. I would want them to do something very different with David and maybe sort of lull all of those, like you said about it being like appeasing the Not My Doctors, lull them into a false sense of security and then slap them with no, you were fucking wrong. And we're going to get your childhood hero to tell you how fucking wrong you were. That's the kind of thing that I want from the 60th. So if I get that, I'll be slightly appeased. But I'm happy about the return. I'm not necessarily happy about the execution, but
I agree. There is my 9-year-old self is also very happy to see Tennant back, but I just wish they did it in a better way. Imagine this. Jodie becomes Shooty, and then it glitches to Tennant every few seconds, and it's like, oh, it's going wrong. Do that.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
Russell, you've got my number.
Yeah. But I am now firmly on board with the redo Jodie's regeneration at the end of the 60th. That's my vibe. I'm going with that. But anyway, that's all to come next year. And rest assured that I will be covering all of it on the podcast. So everything that is going to happen over the next year. And there are some very, very exciting things coming in the next year. This is a bit of a gap. We've got about 13 months without Doctor Who. It's going to be tough for everybody. But there is fan content everywhere. There's even fan content from someone like Catherine Wheeler with stuff like this, with this fan content that is no longer available for purchase. But there is going to be more of things like this to come, because this is really cool. And there's also going to be a Doctor Who fan audio series that 3 people here may also be involved in. But basically, it's exciting times. But this is the end of the Jodie Whittaker era for Who Knew. And before we go, let's say goodbye to my wonderful guests and allow them to plug their own things. Jude's left. Jude is out. This is the end for Jude. Oh, Jodie's in. Lovely. Hang on. Cat's gone. Cat's gone. Yes.
I had to bring my Jodie.
Oh my God, everyone's got Jodie figures and I've got nothing. Oh no.
Josh Carr revealed as an NMD live on the
podcast. Let me get the Sonic. Let me get the Sonic. Okay. And I forgot that it lights up when you pick it up. It's very clever. It is time for the end of the 13th Doctor era for Who Knew. There is going to be loads more stuff yet to come, and from these 3 as well. So Dom, first of all, plug away. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me sometimes on Twitter at DomterWho with 2 O's at the end. Or you cannot find me if I decide to just deactivate everything again. If not, I'm on Instagram at GAGNDOM. If you want to see my pictures of my cat, that's the place to go. And if not, I wrote a script for an audio series, so you'll hear about that at some point.
Boy.
Yeah, that's all the plugs I have to plug.
Yes, lovely. And Catherine, where can people find you and plug away anything that you want to plug?
You can find me on Twitter at Wheel of Cats, and unfortunately on TikTok, cat.wheeler, where you can find me doing all sorts of shit. I have many things that are coming up, but most importantly right now, if you liked the zine, if you like zines in general, if you like writing in general, we currently have a zine interest form available on the 77 Years Zine Twitter. So fill the form in.
This is really cool.
And you may have a chance for your work to be printed and maybe not only shown to hundreds of people, but also people like Sacha Dhawan, Matty Sweet, Jodie Whittaker. If that sounds like something you want to have fun with, go to your Twitter.
Yes, do that. I'll put a link in the description. And Jude, where can people find you and what are you doing?
I'm on Twitter _PigInTeaBreak, and I'm on TikTok at PigInTeaBreak. I've hit 20k followers for the second time on TikTok.
Exciting.
Yeah, pretty magical. So go follow me there. And I'm also in I don't know if you've heard of it. It's an audio play, and I'm playing a guy called Billy Rowe, and he's a top G, and it's going to be great. So get ready for that. And that's basically it. That's all I do. I just tweet. I tweet inane rubbish on Twitter.
He does. He really does.
You're not meant to agree.
And I mean, before I go into the plugs, the audio series that they're referring to is an audio series called The Peculiar Adventures of Doctor Who, which has been created by myself and these lovely people here and a lot of other wonderful people. You may know that there is a casting call that I did a while ago. I'm trying. There are 650 auditions to go through. It's taking me a while. So if you're waiting to hear back, that is why. I am one man. I'm trying. But this has been Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. You can find me, your host, at Josh Ryan Carr on Twitter. You can find me at whoknewdwpod at gmail.com. That's our email. And Who Knew Podcast on Twitter for the podcast Twitter. I've done this a really weird way. At Who Knew Podcast on TikTok as well, because I'm on TikTok now, and I just hit 90 followers.
Magic.
So buzzing. But follow me on TikTok, and I'll be posting little clips from these and doing little shit posts for fun. And you can support the podcast on Patreon for as little as £1 a month, and you can get early access to these where possible and other little goodies as well. And you can buy some merch, which the Patreon gives you a little discount off. You can get a little Who Knew t-shirt, and there's going to be some new products dropping on the merch stand in the next couple of days, so enjoy that. But finally, please like, share, subscribe, comment. It really, really helps the podcast out. It's been an absolute joy being joined by Dom and Kat and Jude. Thank you all for joining me. And
adios.
Yeah, we'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye, Jodie. Bye. Massive thank you to all of our patrons, and especially Cal King. If you want to become a patron, you can join for as low as £1 a month and get loads of benefits and support the pod. Check out the link in the description. Thanks for listening to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. You can check us out wherever you get your podcasts and now on YouTube. Please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you can, as it really helps us out. And a massive thanks to the Sononauts for lending their cover of the Doctor Who theme to be the theme for the podcast.